Hey y'all, Nev here with One Deal Away. And just this past weekend, I did a coaching 2 hour session with my student Sonia. Now, Sonia wanted to go in and get into these auction deals for real estate. Well, I like to call the value discounted real estate properties. And our minds are so screwed up when it comes to money. When you were to go out there and somebody was to say that your favorite pair of sneaks are selling for 50% off, you'd go bananas and buy two pairs. If they said 80 to 90%, you might go completely crazy and buy 10 pairs. But when somebody tells you that you could get a deal on real estate or some sort of financial prospect that can actually preserve and increase the value of your money, we get freaked out, walk away thinking it's a scam. And that is one of the things that I have been getting when I've been talking about my value property investing process, where you can go out there and invest in what is called and known as tax deed sales. So I'm going to take you behind the scene of an actual live coaching thing. Now, of course, it's not live right now when you're watching it, but it was live when we were recording it. And so you might get some sort of challenges with volume and that kind of stuff because internet sometimes will get lost. And we recorded this session. My student, Sonia, actually was so gracious enough to agree to record it and share this information with you so that you can learn through her process as well. And it is my absolute pleasure, 100%, to be able to gift this to you absolutely free. So look, if you're looking for a way to get into real estate because you believe that real estate is one of the best ways to preserve your wealth and potentially grow it as well, just like I do, then this is the show that you absolutely want to watch. So we took down 2 hours worth of session, reduced it out to about 45 minutes or so, taking out all the juiciest pieces of what it looks like right now for you to do a research if you want to get into these properties. Now, Sonia is not the only student that I have, but she's one of the students. And one of the cool things that I do for my students when they sign up for Real Estate on the Cheap Challenge and opt into Flip It Online Masterclass is that I offer free coaching that comes with it. So when they're wanting to go into an auction, they're wanting to start preparing for an auction, we actually go in and take a look at an auction or the deals that they're wanting in, and I'll spend as long time as they need. Now, most of the times when I go in and I say, you know what, I'll give you 30 minutes, but my heart just cannot say stop at 30 minutes because I get so excited. So Sonia and I spent well over 2 hours going into the deals, taking a full dive research, and I call it the old-fashioned way. Now, the reason I call it the old-fashioned way is because I am developing technology right now. I actually have a tech team that is working on this stuff that is going to improve what we do when it comes to researching these properties. Right now, it will take you about an hour to 5 hours to research just one simple deal. Now, of course, I'm saying 1 to 5 hours because of how proficient you are. For me, I could do it in about 45 minutes to an hour or so, plus minus, depends on the county, depends on property, and all kinds of other things that I'm not going to get into right now. But it does depend a great deal. And so what I want to do is reduce that time. Imagine if we were able to reduce a property research from 1 to 5 hours to about 1 minute. Now that is a huge time saving because it means preparing for an auction takes you only a few short minutes and you can quickly decide whether you want to go in or not. Now, of course, we're also developing some AI, right? Artificial intelligence. And we're also going developing some blockchain stuff. And so we're adding all kinds of cool technology. And my real sincere hope is that we're going to be able to launch a beta version, not with all the bells and whistles, but with just the basic research stuff for free very, very shortly for you. So we are coming very closely with cleaning things up. We already have things running. It's just right now it's kind of messy. So we got to clean it up, make it a little bit prettier, and we're going to be rolling out. And I am excited to roll it out for you for absolutely free. And that is very, very exciting. Now, of course, when we start adding things, and of course, you can always upgrade if you want to, but you don't have to. My biggest goal in life is to help you become successful in getting into real estate to be able to preserve and potentially make money. Now, I am done yapping. I'm going to turn you over to a conversation that I had with Sonia of making $1 million investment for dirt cheap. Let's do this. Sonia, That's what I want. Okay, because that would be, and nothing would make me happier. Of course, like that would like talk about make my day.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. And then you go in and it like refreshes and it says like, oh no, right? Like it's not, so and so I'll bid you. And you're like, okay, well maybe if I just put in another 100. I mean, what's another 100, right? It's like I'm putting all this money. What's another 100 just to not be able to get it? And then you get outbid and you're like, well, I've already put in, 100. I might as well put another. So you will find yourself playing this like really ridiculous mental game of what's another 100.
Wow, that's awesome. I can't wait to see how all of this like comes into play. Like when you get it launched and you get people using it and all of that. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I think it's going to be super awesome once we get it up and running. Like I said, we just got to get some of these things done and cleaned up so that it makes sense and get it launched and get some users. And then after that is really about attaching crypto as another place just to secure it. Like I said, right? Like just to have another place where you store sensitive information that is safe. And then we're probably going to develop like our own sort of like a tradable asset stuff. And then development of like AI is going to be out of this world. So
cool.
So lots of places to go, but now let's go the old-fashioned way.
Let's go the old-fashioned way.
So this limits it down, and we say this is what we want to start with. This gives us what? 7 properties, super doable. How are we going to do it? I don't know. Let's sort it by the price, right, the value and stuff, and we can see that we have some pretty cool things happening. This one over here seems right now to give you the most bang for your buck, so to speak, right?
Okay.
This is the reason why I like this price to value, because it's easy to sort by.
Totally.
Right? So now I can look at it and say, well, they're asking for 48,000 something. But improvement is 470,000. Land value is 500,000. It's almost $1 million. Sounds good to me on it. And so, now we get to play and really have fun with this whole thing. All right.
Okay.
Well, like it's a process. It's a bit of a process. This is the old-fashioned way, as I said, we're gonna do. I'm working on the new fashioned way, but this is kind of how it works. So this is the cool part where you get some information. One of the information obviously still confirms the minimum bid, right? It gives you the address. So you can scroll down. It gives you the assessed values, right? So you get some of the info here. We can go and get the assessor's info, which is kind of cool. And we'll see what the King County gives us. Oh my gosh, look at this thing. It's gorgeous. All right. So assessor's info is really cool. Again, it depends from county to county, but it gives you all kinds of cool information. It gives you the address, which we got from the previous one as well. It gives you when it was built, total square footage, 3180, 3-bedroom, one bathroom. It says that it's in a really good shape. Condition is kind of average, which is fine. I mean, it was, it's a bit older, but that's okay. That doesn't mean that it's bad. It gives you kind of how they distribute their taxes. So you learn a whole lot more about taxes in the area. It gives the assessment and what's been happening with the assessment here with the tax roll, right? So it also gives you what you can expect the taxes would be, right? Taxable value, taxes total, all of that stuff, right? Okay. You can get a map of this property. Pretty cool. It takes us to the GIS mapping. That's going to take a moment. Now we get to see where the puppy is located. So we can zoom out. All right. So I'm not very familiar with Seattle, but, I guess we know kind of where it's located. So there we go.
Where is it? Where are they showing it on there?
It's so it's Capitol Hill is right over here.
Oh, there. Okay, the little dot. Yeah,
The
I
little
knew
dot.
that this is actually a really great area of town because I could kind of tell by the address, but this is like Madison Park
And we'll
area.
take we'll take another look at it. But like right, it gives you an idea of what you have. Now typically they also have advanced tools or whatever. So they'll have different things that you can measure the parcel if you want to, but a lot of times they give you that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so this
Yeah.
is the government map. It's pretty cool. It gives you the info. We got to see the property tax stuff, right? We got the
Mm-hmm.
title stuff. Let's see what else could we get. Glossary of terms. You can read that area report. This is kind of cool that this county does that. It gives you an area 13 of Capitol Hill, and it gives you all kinds of information about this stuff. And just so you know, I am not going to list this publicly on any of my channels until it's too late to register, because we're sharing stuff. Some people might get too excited. I don't want to create more competition for you. So we're
Okay.
keeping this on a DL. We'll teach people, but uh, but we don't want them stealing the stuff. So just so you know, I don't want you to be like, oh crud. Anyways, this one seems like it could be a very cool property. I'll be very honest with you. So it
Yeah,
gives
I
you
think
all
so.
idea and stuff. Google Maps. Google. All right. So let's take a look and drive around, as I like to say. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at this puppy. All right. Cool. All right. So we can zoom out, really understand where is this located when it comes to, right? So it looks like it's on Capitol Hill area, which is what the other side gave us. It's close to the park.
Mm-hmm.
We have some coffee shops and all of that stuff. You can get the driving stuff if you want. But then we have this little human, which I love, and I just drop him. And now we can drive up and down the area. All right. And we can see that, all right, people were definitely getting some artistic, capabilities. So there's
Mm-hmm.
some TLC that likely will be needed with this property, but
Mm-hmm.
most of the auctions, you'll need to do some stuff. What we want to know is there value? Is the good neighborhood, right? Like what's going on, who lives around. So again, if you're local, super amazing if you can drive around. If you're not, this is the very next best thing. This is a neighbor, and neighbor seems to be very artsy, and but it gives us an ability to kind of really take a look. A lot of times they tell you when they recorded it, and right down here at the bottom you can see June 2019. So it's fairly recent representation of what we can expect.
Where do you
I'm
see
just
that?
literally kind of like looking to see what I can see from the
Yeah.
photo from afar. I mean, it looks like it has a porch that is actually fairly private. I can't see much on it because it's kind of darkish,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but it gives us an ability to do this. What I might do is also click on the satellite. It's likely not going to be very different from the GIS version, but just in case, right? So we can see right now. All right, so this looks to be that artsy house that we were driving next to.
Mm-hmm.
This is that next house that I said looks like they might have a kid or something.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the house. It looks like, what we saw is pretty the short end of the stick, so to speak, and this is kind of goes into length. And it looks like it has a pretty nice yard. I mean, I don't know where the property ends. So far, property is checking some of the boxes for me personally. I'll be very honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go take a look. We go to Zillow and we take a see. What do they have? Now, Zillow is estimating this market price to be about 1.2 million plus minus. It's not going to be 100% accurate,
Yeah.
but it's a fairly good estimate. And I would also expect that the market value is going to be higher than the assessed value. Assessed
Hmm.
value from the county is always going to be less, right? So now this property is looking even sexier to me because I look at it and be like, this is pretty amazing. Now, of course, that's only if I am even remotely interested. If I take a look and on the first couple of things, I'm like, nope, I'm out, then I'm out, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't research it further. But then again, this again gives us more information. The nice part about Trulia is this piece, which if again, if you're local, it may or may not make sense. If you're not, you want to make sure that you're not buying somewhere where it's like super high, right? So it gives you the kind of heat map. And this looks to be like a really safe area of town, right? So far of what I'm seeing, I actually really like this property, right? So I
Yeah.
go back to my little thing and I say, like highlight or keep it in or whatever. So for our purpose, what I might do is just highlight it to say, I've researched this one, I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, then I would take basically the next one and take a look, because what you want to do, and you follow the exact same steps, because what you want to do, you don't want to just get married to one and be like, this is the one, that's
Yeah.
it. So it's kind of like dating. We want to date more people. We want to learn more about them and have information kind of happen. So I'm going to pause right now and give you an opportunity to ask any and all questions, because I know I just like verbal vomited on you.
Well, that's super cool. Great process. Thank you for walking me through all that. It's great just to see how you do it kind of start to finish. I think my biggest questions are really around like, okay, well now we've identified that's a great property. So how do we decide what to bid, and what does the bidding process look like? Because yes, that probably is a very competitive property. If you could score that for
Yeah.
40,000, 50,000, I mean, like I'm sure that's going to go really high. But I wonder, like, how do you know how high the bidding is going to go, and how do you
Yeah,
increase your
keep
chance?
going. So great question was, how do I think through of what do I bid for this? Now, one thing that I will look is I will look at the value, right? And this one we've established that is just short of $1,000,000. Let's say it's million because it's easier math. $50,000 minimum, $1,000,000. You can go all the way up to like $700,000, and you're still going to make money on this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where the piece comes in. Now, that also comes in of understanding how much money you have. If you have, millions of dollars sitting around and you're looking for a cool place to go, then go for it. You can set your automated bill all the way up to like 750,000 and let it ride. So that's one thing to consider. If you are saying, you know what, my budget is $100,000. That's it. That's the max. I don't have any more than that, or I'm not willing to spend more than that, right? Because you also have to think through, we just talked about it. It looks pretty good. It looks in a pretty good shape, but we don't know exactly what it's like until you go there, right? Until you move in, as they say, and you flush the toilet, and then you learn all kinds of things about the house.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know what condition is inside. We don't know if there's plumbing in it or not. We don't know if you have to replace all of the windows. We don't know if there's foundation structural challenges. Now, one piece to know, I know for like new buyers and stuff, that's all very, very scary. All of that is fixable. It's just a matter of how much it's going to cost you. So
Right.
for me, when I go through this stuff, I think through and say, is it possible that I'm going to go in and it's going to just like paint and go? Yes. Is it probable? No. So there's a high possibility that I might have to do some extra work here, that I might have to do, new heater, new water, new, maybe new plumbing and stuff. That adds up. So
Mm-hmm.
if you know that you're going to, and you don't have to bring everything up to the modern age, but if you're going to live in it, you're going to have to bring some stuff to the modern age, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
flushable toilets, electricity, that kind of stuff. So you have to think through that some of those things might have to be addressed, and you want to say, well, okay, maybe it's going to cost me $20,000, $30,000 to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not all at once. There's a lot of these construction loans and that kind of stuff that you can finance if you need to. So again, it comes down to the math piece. So part of it is, let's play pretend that you and I are partners. We're going to go buy this stuff. We have $100,000 combined that we're able and willing to spend on this property,
Mm-hmm.
right? So 100,000, that's it. That's not 100,000 plus construction, just 100,000. So we might go and say, okay, well, let's assume that we might have to spend about 20, 25 to like do some stuff, which I think is a reasonable starter piece. Again, it's not perfect math. Nobody can tell you that, but we can assume that. So that would give us basically a budget of, we can bid up to about $75,000 on this property, right? And that kind of gives us the way to say, based off of what we can kind of guess, that it might need this, it might need that, I might not need all 3 bedrooms to start with, right? I just might need 1 bedroom, or where I'm living, I'm good to live for next 6 months. And, while this is being kind of renovated and stuff, right? And there are certain things that can be done over time. Um, that gives you a little bit of runway. And so that's kind of how I think about it. And I say, okay, I'm going to put in about, $75,000 into the bidding. So I say, you know what? I really like this property. Now, typically when I go to the properties and to bids, let me share my screen again. What I might do is say that I look at this and say that all of these properties, right? We have 7 right here. All 7 are really good contenders for me. I looked at them all. They all seem to be in a really good shape. Like, I really like what I'm seeing. And all of them are decent things that I would want to bid on. When I have multiple properties, there's a very good chance that I might actually walk away from something. So I will definitely register for the auction. So what I'll do, auto bid is very, very cool, because you can go in and you can say, all right, I know that my maximum for this property is $75,000. That's it. So you will put in $75,000, submit. That doesn't mean that you'll pay $75,000. It just means that if you're the only person there, it will automatically set you up for that 48,000, whatever it is, that the starting bid. And it will say, hey, this person is winning. And then I'll come in and I'll say, all right, I'll pay 51,000. Yours is going to go up $100 above mine, because it's also, I think it's $100 over. So, and it will kind of keep on doing that stuff. Once it hits your limit, it won't bid anymore on your part. That's it. You are outbid and you walk away. Now, they are in the business of selling the property, so they will send you an email saying, oh, too bad, you are no longer the bidder. You should go in and bid this higher and stuff. So one piece is to sort of meditate and resist the urge. So some of the strategies, let's talk some strategies, right? So we talked some pricing. You don't want to bid more than the property is worth, because that doesn't make sense in my book. You can, but it just doesn't make sense in my book. You don't want to bid more than what you have cash to close, because if you don't close on time, they basically take the property back, they will re-auction it, and they will ban you from the auctions. You don't want to do that. So you don't want to bid, you don't want to be that person, as they say. So those are some of the things. Some of the strategies that likely won't land on YouTube or anywhere else. Sorry, YouTube, I apologize. So this is going to be bleeped out. But some of the strategies to think through about bidding. It's going to be very short, but super intense period of time, right? So right now, what you want to do to kind of say, do I even want to go in, is to go and say, is there anything in this auction that even piques my interest? If the answer is yes, given the timeline where we are now, what I would do, right? Not an advice, just for you to kind of think through of like what I would do. I would basically say, because the deposit deadline is September 1, I've already identified 1 or 2 properties that I'm really, really interested in. I would go in and put a deposit. The worst case scenario is that buys me time to research, so I don't have to kill myself researching all of the properties over the next weekend, right? Pulling my hair out. It buys me almost 10 days.
Right.
Plenty of time to do depth research. And the only thing I'm risking is $35. That's it.
Yeah.
So even if you go in, and that's just my thinking, and that's kind of how I did my first auction, to be very honest. I went in, I'm like, $35. Even if I go in and I'm petrified to click that bid button, right, and everything gets outbid, it's going to be an amazing education experience. I'm going to still do it. So it was a low enough risk that I'm like, this is what, a cheap dinner, a cheap lunch. I don't know, right? So for me, it was worthwhile education fee to put in, because that's the only thing that I don't get. Because even this money here that you have to deposit, you actually get it back if you're not a winner for anything.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I go in, I ended up depositing. What that does is once you go in, you register stuff, you can then go in and save the auctions that you really like, and they become sort of like your favorites. They won't publish that. And the same thing is if you are a winning bidder, you'll need to submit, you'll need to submit the remainder of the funds. Uh, B, you will also need to submit like how are you going to take the property, right? So you'll have to fill out like your legal name or address, or if you have a legal entity, what the legal entity name is, all of that stuff, because they need that for registration purposes, because they will need to register and title it. And then once you do all of that, you complete that, then it goes to the county. County then goes to record that stuff, right? And then it depends how busy they are. It could go, in my experience, the fastest one that I got was about 3-ish weeks. The slowest one was about 8 weeks. In general, it's about 4 to 6 weeks period of time for them to register and then send you the stuff. And that makes it super officially yours.
Okay. So at the most, it would be like 8 weeks after the close.
Yeah.
Then like 8 weeks later, I could
Yeah.
actually
And
move in.
you would get it, and they'll mail it to you. They will actually mail it to you, and you will get like a recorded deed that it says it's yours.
Okay. Okay. And
Which
do they
is
give you like keys to the house and stuff, or is it just like, nope, it's yours. You have to go like break in and
probably not. You probably will need to get, once you get it and it's legally yours and all of that stuff is recorded, you'll probably need to get um, a locksmith,
yeah.
right, to go in. And, you might need, because this is a house, what I would suggest, again, you can reach out to a property attorney if you want to as well.
Hmm.
Once you complete the process, or even now if you want to, but you can wait till you complete the process to see does it even make sense to pay them or not, uh, to find out what they suggest. But you can, to see, you could potentially just kind of go and reach out to them to say like, how would you want to do this? Because again, laws are different from place to place.
Hmm.
Typically, I would want to wait to get the title in my hand as a proof that this is really mine. You
Hmm.
could potentially do it sooner, like even as you close and you're waiting, you could potentially reach out to an attorney and say, "This is what I did. I'm still waiting for the, official deeds to come my way, but I have proof, right? Because everything will be online, so you'll be able to pull that up." um, they might encourage you to kind of use the sheriff's department, which they will, as long as you can prove that it's yours. They will work with you, and they might go in, especially if you're like, it's just me, single female. Like, can you come help me out and just make sure that there's nobody living there, to go in and check it. They probably will do that. They might charge you a fee. Don't be shocked, because I have received bills from sheriff before. Thank you for your service. Apparently, it's not free.
Hmm.
Uh, I've also received a fee from the fire department for responding. I'm like, gee, thanks. I thought my taxes paid that, but they don't. Learned that hard way.
Uh-huh.
Um, but you would get a locksmith, and they would come in and they would install the new locks. And I have done that before, even when I purchased through regular means. Once it's mine and it's recorded, I don't do it beforehand, right? Once it's recorded and it's there and it's kind of official and stuff, or I get a clearance from an attorney, then I go in and I change locks. Even if I'm buying for regular, like, right, like you're buying it from me, I
Hmm.
still go in and change locks. That's the first thing I do, and the first thing I recommend everybody does, because you never know who has how many copies of the key.
Right.
So it's a couple $100, but it's just another layer of insurance that you're saying, I know exactly who has the keys to the, and it's just me
Right.
and those that I give the keys to, and not like random Joe Schmo, everybody under the sun.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So that
Okay.
would be the next thing that I would do. And then it's, you probably want to get an inspector. Typically, we do that before we buy. So this is a little bit of reverse process,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you can't go in. You can walk around. You just can't go onto the property. So just something to know, because technically then you will be trespassing, and I don't know that it's worth getting arrested for.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, no. But to each their own. But then I would probably want to get like an inspector to come through and take a look at everything, because it's typically they charge 100 to 200 bucks, but they do like an inspection. They do termite inspection. They check the things. They give you heads up of what might need work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then you have a nice list of like things, and then you can start working with either general contractor, or if they're saying, all right, well, you have to get, I mean, if it's broken windows, you don't need an inspector to tell you that. But if you're
Yeah.
going to the basement and crawl space and that kind of stuff, you might need that. You might need for them to do that piece.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Can we talk about the bidding process again real quick? So like I register my account, I put the deposit in, and then I have access to look at all of the properties. And when the bidding is actually happening, I'll be able to like go into that page and I'll see
Yep.
like who the latest bidder
Once,
is.
yeah, once 9 o'clock comes on the 9th, because that's 9 a.m. Pacific, right? Once 9 a.m. Pacific shows up on the 9th, it will basically upload the page, right? Like you would log in,
Uh-huh.
and you will actually be able to see. You can go, right now, you can go in and save all of the favorite properties, get them ready. You can then go in, and, at 9 o'clock, it will unlock, it will give you an opportunity to bid. What you can do, I mean, I've done it, I've done multiple different ones. What you can do is you can just put in the minimum bid, just to kind of be like, for me, that was like the safety thing. Like, I'm just putting the minimum, forget it. So I just put in a minimum, put in the thing, boom, next thing you know, it refreshed and it said, hey, congratulations, Nev, you are the winning bidder, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can sit there and watch it for 24 hours, but you won't see much of anything happening. Like, you can keep on refreshing it. So it's probably going to be really weird. They will email you every time that you're not the winning bidder or whatever, but they will email you when you're winning bidder and stuff. So you'll get a lot of emails from them. Um, you know, uh, I know for me, I was very, very eager the first few times around, and I would go in and then I would like sit and wait and watch. I'm like, okay, nothing is happening. So then I'm like, refresh, refresh, refresh. It was like watching the paint dry. So you can drive yourself nuts, or you can just walk away. And then, I would get an email saying like, uh-oh, like somebody else overbid. And I'm like, oh no. So then I would like run in and try to be like, okay, $100 more. And I would put in bid. It's like, no, you're not the highest bidder. I'm like, $100 more. So after that, I kind of gave up and just went with auto bid. And I said, okay, what is my maximum? Because they won't bid over it. And then I just put my maximum, and I clicked that. And if I was, the winning bidder, it would keep on bidding on my behalf, um, up until it reached limit. And then I would just get an email, and it would let me know. Or I would put in my max, and I would realize that, well, so and somebody else has bid more than I have. It's time to walk away. One piece that is, you're going to discover that it's a giant mental game, is that I have discovered this for myself. So you might, I don't know. Oh my gosh. And I have discovered a lot about my competitive nature when it comes to this stuff. Because I'm like, you're not getting this, especially if I was winning for a while, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
not now. Oh, it's on now. And I don't even know who I'm fighting with, because everything is anonymous. So just,
And are there people who like, so I guess I'm just trying to understand how it works, because it's like, if I put a max in, nobody's going to know what my max is. And I know if I'm winning and I know if I'm losing, but I don't really know what the actual price is. Is
you
that,
will see what the current bid is. Yes,
you can
you will
see what the
see what the
current
current
bid
bid.
is.
Yeah, you
But then
don't
like,
know.
are
It's
there people who come in at the very last second and just be like, boom, I'm going to
Mhm.
outbid everybody?
Yep,
Yeah.
it
Okay.
happens. It happens, and sometimes it will go into the overbid period. So let's go and take a look at a couple of things
Okay.
right now. So what I'm saying is, like, I don't know. It's for me personally, and you know that I am super risk averse, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'd rather take a safer route. I don't want to wait the last 10 seconds, because if something happens where like it's not processing yet, my internet is not fast enough, 10 seconds expires and I lose the deal. So it's like, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
People will do it. I don't necessarily, I'm not crazy about that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the other piece that you definitely want to take a look at, do read the county terms of sale. Do read the bidding requirements and the wire transfer, and kind of what that needs to look like. Okay. The deposit requirement. I think we've covered most of it, right? Like you want to have, if your absolute maximum is $100,000, right? You want to leave some money aside for renovation, for some of these costs, for that kind of stuff, right? So you don't want to put in the max for that because of those gotchas. The gotchas really get you is when you say, well, I have 100 grand, and you put all 100 grand into it.
Mm-hmm.
That is the largest gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's the reason why I'm saying don't do that. Don't do that to yourself, or to your sleep or your stress level or health or anything else. It's just not worth it. So if you put in some of the other stuff in, you know that you'll have to potentially get an attorney. That might be a few $1,000s, right? These, that, and the other stuff. Um, the the nice part is that you are buying this stuff free and clear, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And the nice part about free and clear is that you can refinance it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were like going in and saying like, say that we kind of played that scenario, we have $100,000, we decided 75 grand is the absolute mess the ceiling. After that, the 25 has to sit. That's our reserves. That's our safety net. That's the oopses and everything else. Not willing to play with that. That is our safety net. Um, then we go in and we put it in, and we go in, and you can always go in, and that's the only money you put in. You can always work through refinance. You might have to pay again, because financing is not free as much as they want to say, but the rates are ridiculously low.
Mm-hmm.
uh, you know they might need to pull like a different title and all of that stuff, and you explain it, they will do the research and all of that stuff, and all of a sudden you could finance, if it's $1 million property, even if you decide I am going to do 50%, I'm going to finance only 20% of this, right? um, you're financing only $200,000 on the value of million. Just about any bank will do it. What that means, you also pull your cash out that you put in, which gives you a bit more space and room if you need to do some work and stuff. So
Uh-huh.
that's one way to think about it. Another way to think about it is a lot of these contractors and stuff, you might be able to do like financing, so you don't have to come up with out of pocket 20 grand right there.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
You can also get construction loan. So if your contractor doesn't do it and you're like, I don't want to mortgage the house, you can get a construction loan as well. Those might run a little bit more than a mortgage, but that's another option. Home equity line of credit, because you will have all of the equity and no debt, is another one. So gives you options.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. And so I don't. So I'm gonna figure out what my max bid is. Let me just run this by you here real quick. But it's like I'm gonna figure out what my max bid is. I'll do all the research on the properties. I'll read through all the documents. I'm just gonna like educate myself about everything. I don't know if I will be able to win any of these this year. Quite honestly, like we'll see. We'll see.
We don't know.
Um, but I like the idea of like just register, put the deposit in, do the educational process, pay attention. So will I, if I register and I do all of that, like I'll be able to see the history of the bidding on each property?
You won't be able to see like who bid when, where.
Uh-huh.
So like that won't happen. Like it's not gonna say, well, Nev put, user one put in a bid at 9 a.m. for 20,000. User two came in at 9:15, and like you're not gonna see that. but
Okay.
you will be able to monitor it while it's happening. So over the course of those few days, and please know, when it opens, you will likely see bids kind of roll in, and
Uh-huh.
then it's going to go dead.
Uh-huh.
And then the second day, as we come closer to that ending, that's when
Uh-huh.
you're gonna start seeing a bit more action.
Okay.
So just something for you to know. We typically see it active at the beginning and at the end, and this middle ground, it's sort of like kind of like dead in the water.
Mhm.
So you can watch it and stuff, right? If there's something, like I said, that you're excited about and bid on it, cool, do it, right? I mean, don't do it just for sake of doing it, because I don't want you to like bid and lose money or like, right? But like, if it is something, you do the research and like, all right, I'm just gonna put a minimum and see what happens and close one eye and kind of like watch it like a horror movie. But you can watch, and what it will do, it will show you what has happened. And
Mhm.
sometimes, please know, this has happened to me in Washington once. I went into an auction. There was a couple of different properties that I was interested in. There was one property that was like my primary, then there was my secondary, but the primary was happening after the secondary. So I bid on it and I was losing, but it was too late for the primary and I lost both, right? So what happened is that I got outbid and didn't happen. So I didn't get to in it. Somebody else bid on it. They never fulfilled their promise, right? So what they did is they did re-auction. They re-auctioned the property that I was already interested in that the person didn't close on. So I went in the second time around, and guess what? Zero bidders got it for the minimum amount.
No way.
So don't lose, don't lose everything, right? You
Yeah.
just never know.
Mhm.
You just never know. And we did this, what, last year, 2 years ago? When did we do this? Remember when we did this stuff, when we take a look at it, and there was this like amazing property across like the bridge and stuff, and it was like 1.6 million, and it sold for 50 grand, and you
Mhm.
actually called the county. You can also do that, right? Like there's nothing stopping you to do that and say, hey, I did notice that they did sell, but if, I was one of the bidders, and if they don't fulfill, you know, can I call you? Because I'm willing and ready to come and bring you the
Cool.
money.
All right. Well, I'm excited. I'm gonna spend some time going through all of this and see what I find, and
Yeah,
I want to look at the other properties, see what's there, and figure out what my bid could be.
yeah. And if
Um,
you get stuck, let me know. I'm away this weekend. I have to go. I told you I'm doing so many things right now. So after we're done, I gotta call people back, and then I gotta deal with the developer team because that's what I missed. And once I finish all of that, then I gotta go and like do some programming stuff on my own. But then tomorrow I have to go to the property, so I'll be busy with that because we're doing some construction and stuff because I don't have enough to do. And so I got to deal with that stuff. So I'll be gone, but I should be back on Monday.
okay.
So if we need to touch base and stuff on, Monday, I'm happy to do that if you want. But like I said, I didn't want to wait till Monday to do this because of the first,
Right.
right? So it's like if you want in, I wanted to make sure you at least have a little bit of time to do that.
Totally. Totally. Well, I'm gonna register no matter what, because that just why
Go
not?
for it.
Why not? Right?
Sense.
Yeah.
And if you get stuck, I am around today. Don't hesitate to call or text, okay? I really don't mind. I promise.
Cool. Thank you, Nev. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you
I
so much.
want you to succeed, man. I'm like waiting for somebody to be like, because every time I talk about it, everybody says like these are fake, these don't exist, like there's no way. And I'm like, no, I'm serious. They do exist.
Uh-huh.
So
And I'm curious, like, how competitive is it? Like I'm imagining
it
that, especially.
really depends from auction to auction. I mean, there was one that I looked at. Riverside, California was fairly recent,
Mm-hmm.
very competitive,
Mm-hmm.
very competitive. Uh, but there were homes that were value was like 300,000. They were bidding 500,000 or more, and I'm
Oh
like,
wow.
either you don't know what you're doing, or you are trying to like, just buy something because you know something that I don't about this property or the area,
Uh-huh.
or you're money laundering. Like there's no third option. I'm serious. Like why would you spend $500,000 for something that assessed value is 300,000? So
Hmm.
either that you are clueless and you're just buying because you happen to have money, you're trying to figure out a way to sort of clean the money, which realistic people do that. Dirty money, that's how you get it cleaned. Or you have inside information that this might be on a block, that maybe there's a giant company coming in to buy. You see what I'm saying? Like there's
Or the
something.
zoning just changed, so now they could tear it down and build multiple properties there, or something like that. Yeah.
Exactly, and it makes sense. So those are the pieces that I don't have information when I look at the stuff, right? So
Mhm.
sometimes being local makes sense. Like you were telling me stuff about the oil, not needing to be replaced. From where I'm, sitting, I wouldn't know that about the city, right? Like,
Right, and like my sister just had to do that at her house, and it was a $25,000 expense for them to do it because
yep,
they had to redo their whole heating system basically.
yep.
Yeah, yeah. So that kind of stuff scares me, like those gotchas, but you got to know what you're getting into.
And
Um,
that's the part, right? That's the part where we think through it. And
mhm.
part of the property ownership, I'll be very honest with you, things pop up
Yeah,
and you can't predict them. And
yeah.
there's nothing you can do. I mean, you can try your best, but it's like even the place where I am right now, we did inspections. Everything it went really great. Everything checked. We were amazing. I came in thinking that everything is lovely. I was going to replace two heaters for the units, and that was that. We went in and we found that we had some challenges, right? And all of a sudden, another heater wasn't firing. So while I'm having the heater guys installing the two, and I'm like, well, might as well install this one and this one. And so, same thing happened with the previous house when I bought it. It was like, oh, slight, like, floor that was just sort of sloped. And we just need to do some leveling off and like put the new bathroom.
Hmm.
Next thing you know, I went from a project that was going to roughly cost me maybe $10,000 to a $40,000 rebuild.
Wow.
Complete rebuild. I mean, tear down to like not even studs, down to like sticks holding the roof, and down to like having to go in and do like dig in and pour the foundation. And from foundation, when I say rebuild, I mean rebuild.
Wow.
Super sucky, super scary. And that's the one that I told you that I lived in a shed for like months. There
Hmm.
I am having a home, broken and broke, basically being homeless while doing all of that stuff. And it's just, too much. But it was one of those like, all right, we're working and we're slowly financing through, and I still have an income coming in. It's not the end of the world. And by the end of it, it was fine. We finished the project. I refinanced. I pulled cash out. I used that to pay off my debts, and I still have some money left over. And
Hmm.
then I went in and got different property, and then I ended up selling again for a profit.
Hmm. Hmm.
Painful as it was at the beginning, right? Like just kind of that, and those are the pieces. And I mean, I bought well under market, so that was another piece that helped. But that's the piece that when you go in and you buy under market and you pay attention to the price, even these gotchas, as scary as they are, when you think about it, like let's think about this $1 million property. And I know it's not a million, but let's say it is a million, right? Like it was 1.2 or whatever. Let's say it's $1 million. Say you pay 75,000 and you have to put in another 50,000, another 100,000 to bring it up. I understand
Hmm.
you have to work within your budget and stuff, but let's play pretend that altogether comes to quarter of a million spent for something worth $1 million as is. If you're spending all of this extra money to improve it and to put new windows and new doors and new foundation, blah, 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 that
Hmm.
means you're also increasing the value of this property.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Which means the valuation of it is no longer 1 or 1.2. It's likely now 1.5 or 1.7.
Hmm. Hmm.
But you spend a quarter of a million,
Hmm.
right? And so that's what I'm saying. Like you can go in and refinance. And so that's what I'm saying. So like just keep that in a perspective. You do have options, right?
Hmm.
You do have options where you can go in now, you can refinance, you can pull the cash, you can take like all these different things, and you don't even have to do it 100%, meaning like you don't have to do the way you would if you were to go out and buy $1 million property. Because if
Right.
you were to go and buy $1 million property, you'd have to put down at least 200 to 250,000,
Yeah.
and then go in and fix things up and do things.
Right. Right. Right.
Right. So just shifting a little bit of the mindset
Yeah.
to say, well, it's scary, but it's not as scary.
Mm-hmm.
Play
Mm-hmm.
around. And that's
Yeah.
now until we no longer have the new fashion way. And then once we get the new fashion way, then we're gonna start with like notifications and stuff. So we're gonna be doing some awesome stuff because I want the easy way.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So this is
Excited to
the
do
this
that
is
for
the
sure.
difficult way. I'm working on the easy way where all of the stuff that we have done that took us what about an hour, you should be able to get all of that in under a minute.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
That's the goal. That's the goal.
Nice. Nice. Awesome.
Yeah. So then you can
Cool.
get ready for an auction in like New York minute, as they say.
Sweet. I look forward to it. And in the meantime, I'll focus on earning some money so that I'll be prepared.
Yes, 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 yes. So have fun with the research.
Cool. I will.
Enjoy it. Keep me
Thank
posted if you have
you.
any questions.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Nev. Thank you so much. You've been so generous with your time today. And I know you have a ton of stuff going on. So it really means a lot to me that you
Pleasure.
made time out of your day, your very busy schedule right now to help me. And I'll definitely keep you posted. I'll get in here and do the work and we'll see what comes of it.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna wait for a dance. I just want the selfie dance of like of what happened.